The moment Noah Turner stepped into the glass-walled corner office, he had no idea his life was about to change. He only knew he had to deliver a report before the payroll deadline, and he had to do it fast, because his son, Ethan, was waiting at home with a fever, and the babysitter had already texted him twice. Noah wasn't the kind of man who made a habit of interrupting anyone. But when the receptionist said, "Your boss asked you to come in right now," he didn't hesitate. What he didn't expect was to walk into a room where his boss, Veronica Hart, was on the phone, her voice trembling in a way that made the air feel heavy. The second the door clicked shut behind him, Noah saw her. Veronica was the kind of woman people called strong, the kind of CEO who never showed weakness. But today she looked like someone who had been carrying a secret for too long. Her cheeks were flushed, her eyes red, and the way she held the phone made it clear she wasn't talking business. Noah froze for a moment, unsure if he should leave. But then she looked up, and her expression was one of shock, like she didn't expect to be seen at all. The hook of the story hit hard. Noah had interrupted a private call, and in that moment he realized he wasn't just walking into his boss's office. He was stepping into a confession that could change everything: his job, his life, and the fragile hope he held for his son. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected moments, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Noah had been working at Hart & Company for 5 years. He wasn't the top employee, but he was the kind who never caused trouble. He was the man who stayed late without complaining, who fixed mistakes without blaming anyone, and who always made sure his team had what they needed. The problem was, Noah wasn't just supporting himself. He was raising Ethan alone after his wife died in a car accident 2 years earlier. Every paycheck mattered, and every minute away from his son felt like a risk. On that morning, he walked into Veronica's office with the report in his hand, his mind racing with worries. Ethan's fever had spiked overnight. He was barely sleeping. Noah had promised his son he would pick him up early and take him to the clinic if needed. But the company's deadline was today, and Veronica had made it clear there was no room for delay. As he stood in the doorway, he noticed Veronica's voice break mid-sentence. He heard a phrase that made his heart twist. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered. Noah's instincts told him to back out, to leave her alone. But he also knew that if he walked away now, something in her would snap, and he couldn't ignore the feeling that she needed help. So he stepped forward, his shoes silent against the polished floor. "Miss Hart?" he said softly, not wanting to scare her. Veronica froze, then ended the call with a shaky breath. She looked at Noah like a person who had been caught doing something forbidden. For a moment, silence filled the room, thick and uncomfortable. Then she motioned for him to come closer. Noah walked over, his hand still gripping the report. He could feel his heart pounding, and he couldn't shake the strange sensation that he was standing at the edge of a cliff. Veronica didn't speak for a long time. She stared at him like she was trying to decide if she could trust him. Finally, she exhaled and said something that made Noah's stomach drop. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "You weren't supposed to see that." Noah's mind raced. What did she mean? He had interrupted a private call, yes, but it wasn't just private. It was personal. And now, whatever she was carrying was about to spill into his life. Veronica stood up and closed her laptop with a quiet click. She walked around her desk and sat in the chair facing Noah, as if she had finally decided to be honest. She didn't ask him to leave. Instead, she looked him straight in the eyes and said, "I need to tell you something. I'm not the person you think I am." Noah felt his breath catch. He had always thought Veronica was a cold, ambitious woman who cared only about success. But the vulnerability in her voice made him realize there was more to her story than he ever imagined. Veronica confessed that she had been struggling for months with depression, a battle she had hidden behind her confident image. She told him that she had been on the phone with her sister, and she had been confessing something she never thought she'd say out loud. She had been considering quitting the company, leaving everything behind, and disappearing. She admitted she felt like a failure, like she had become a monster in the pursuit of success. Noah's mind flashed back to the times Veronica had been harsh, the times she had criticized him in front of others, the times she had demanded perfection. He realized now those moments weren't just about control, they were her way of fighting her own fear of being weak. Veronica's voice cracked as she continued. She said she had been pretending for so long that she didn't know how to ask for help. She had been isolating herself, and her sister had been the only person who knew the truth. Today, she had reached a breaking point. Noah didn't know what to say. His own life was a struggle, and he wasn't sure he had the right to comfort someone else. But he also knew that he couldn't leave her alone in that moment. He sat down slowly, and for the first time, he spoke not as an employee, but as a human being. He told her about Ethan, about the way his son's laughter could lift him even on the darkest days. He told her about losing his wife, and how he had learned that pain doesn't disappear, it just changes shape. Veronica listened, and Noah saw her shoulders loosen slightly. For a moment, the CEO became a person, and the person became someone he could relate to. The office phone rang again, but this time Veronica didn't answer. She looked at Noah and said, "I don't want to run anymore. I want to live." Noah felt a strange warmth rise inside him. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew that this moment mattered. It was a turning point, not just for Veronica but for himself. He told her he believed she could be more than the image she had built. He told her that asking for help didn't make her weak. It made her human. And then he said something he never expected to say to his boss. "You don't have to carry this alone." Veronica's eyes filled with tears. She had never had someone speak to her like that. She had always been surrounded by people who feared her or wanted something from her. Noah wasn't afraid of her. He wasn't trying to impress her. He was simply being honest. In the days that followed, something began to change at Hart & Company. Veronica took a step back from her work, and she started seeing a therapist. She began to open up to her team, and she apologized for the time she had pushed them too hard. The office culture shifted, and people began to feel like they mattered again. Noah's job didn't change overnight. He still had the same responsibilities, the same deadlines, the same pressure. But the way he saw his work changed. He began to understand that success wasn't just about profits and promotions. It was about people. It was about compassion. And then something unexpected happened. Veronica called Noah into her office one afternoon, and this time, she wasn't trembling. She was calm. She thanked him for not walking away that day. She told him she had realized that he wasn't just a good employee, he was a good man. She offered him a promotion, not because he was perfect, but because she had seen the way he treated others. She said she wanted him to be a leader, someone who could carry the same compassion into the company. Noah was stunned. He didn't expect anything like that. He had always believed that promotions were reserved for people who played the game, who stepped on others to climb higher. But Veronica's offer proved something else. Sometimes, the strongest people are the ones who choose kindness. When Noah went home that evening, Ethan was waiting on the couch, his fever finally breaking. The boy looked up and smiled when he saw his dad. Noah sat beside him and felt a peace he hadn't felt in a long time. He realized that his life wasn't perfect. It was messy, painful, and uncertain, but it was also filled with moments of grace. Noah's story didn't end with a fairy tale finish. He still faced struggles, and he still had to work hard every day. But he learned that even in the darkest moments, a single act of kindness could change everything. Before the story ends, I have a special request. Please comment below with the word hope if this story touched your heart, and tell me what part moved you the most. If this story moved you, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps spread kindness and second chances. Noah's life changed that day not because of money or power, but because he chose to be human. He chose to stop, to listen, and to care. And in doing so, he helped someone else find the courage to keep living. In a world that often celebrates success at any cost, Noah's story reminds us that true strength is found in compassion. And sometimes the moment that changes your life isn't a grand event. It's a simple choice to stay, to listen, and to believe that someone deserves a second chance.